Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Cyberpunk Edgerunners, a not safe for work trailer that's on YouTube right now. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 9, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. And don't forget to check out our other videos on all our other platforms, Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble. Now, this doesn't really tell me too much about the story of the series, but it does seem to capture the milieu of cyberpunk fairly accurately and fun. And the idea is, in the not too distant dystopian future, and it's animated, in case you were wondering, there is the cyberpunk future. And what it is people augmenting themselves with cybernetics. And they're called cyberpunks because they tend to be young people who don't really know what they're getting into, and they join street gangs. So they have cybernetics that mess with their bodies to give them more weapons, to make them faster, to make them more accurate when they fight, to make them smarter. But of course, the more cybernetics you add, the less human you are, and then there's an upper limit in which, you just basically burn out. And can your brain, or you become more machine than man. So on that score, this trailer does capture it because, let's see what this says. Don't watch this at work. Don't go cyber psycho. See you in September 3rd. The series tells a standalone 10-episode story about a street kid trying to survive in Night City, a technology and body modification obsessed city of the future, having everything to lose. He said he stays alive by becoming an Edgerunner, a mercenary outlaw known as a cyberpunk. And this was based on William Gibson's books, essentially, and he created this kind of milieu, subgenre, if you will, in the future. It's dystopian, and it has a lot of cybernetics. If you ever saw the movie Johnny Mnemonic, that's supposed to be cyberpunk. It doesn't really capture it. Ironically, Keanu Reeves was in it and was in the Cyberpunk video game, which didn't do too well, seemed to have a lot of problems. This seems to capture the atmosphere of it, and that's about all I can say. I mean, based on that synopsis, I guess I could give you a breakdown. It's probably going to be about a kid who basically it'll be similar to someone gets caught up in crime, right? It'd be very similar to like a kid in the 1900s getting caught up in the mafia and going from nothing to king of the world. Suddenly, but instead of it just being about money, it's also about all these cybernetics and all this power. I think drugs were in the mix too. I didn't really read a lot of it, but I did play the video game, the role-playing game a few times. It was fun to build your character. You build your character, you get so many points to make modifications to start with, and then the hope is you go on adventures. You rob people, you rob corporations, and then you gain money, and then hopefully you can get more cybernetics to protect yourselves on the street, from other cyberpunks and from the various corporate guys who hire, their own versions of cyber guys to protect them. So it's a cool world to play in. So the end result will be, he gets what he wants, but at a huge cost, right? So that'd be the third act. Like the first act is him and his life. It's rough on the street. It's hard to survive, and he gets pulled into the cyberpunk world with some augmentation, but he's in debt to probably the cyberpunk gang that he joins. And then the second act is about him. There's some MacGuffin they got to get over the course of several episodes to make the one big score so they could get off planet I think, to where his mom is. And then, of course, by the time he does that, he's probably so modified he's barely holding it together. And so it's a tragedy, as crime dramas often are. But you can see the modifications here and how messed up. Let's see if I can get, yeah. See, like, how messed up she is? She's probably replaced her eyes. And, some of these people are barely human after a while. So, you can see here, he just got the implants and he's waking up. He's punching a dude. But it's got future technology, but the future technology is not necessarily great, right? And you've got this punk aesthetic that permeates throughout the series. So I think this really captures it well. So I'd be interested in seeing this. At least I'll see the first episode probably, and see. I mean, now it's in Japanese, so it's going to be dubbed, which not dubbed, but subtitled. Which this moves so fast that may be a bit of a hindrance. I've talked about subtitling before and how I find it a bit of a distraction depending on the movie. But with a lot of action, and plus it's on Netflix, you can always wind it back if you miss something. But, it looks cool. It just looks cool as hell. And look, when the Japanese do something like this, they normally do it really well. I like the music that they've picked. I'm not sure if this was the Japanese music, but it's pretty classic. They picked some classical music and then some rock music. So I think this will be worth watching. So Cyberpunk Edgerunner drops September 13th. I think I'm going to check it out. All right. And that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more bass takes. We've got 2 other videos every single day. Don't miss them on the other platforms. Get on the other platforms. I don't know how much longer I'm going to last here in YouTube. You never know. They could be purging me for my spicy comments about politics. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.